You know, there's this appliance in millions of our homes that we use every single day for comfort. But here's the thing, if it's neglected, it can become seriously dangerous. Today, we're talking about the good old water heater, or as it's often called, the geyser.
Because it's kind of interesting. The word geyser actually means two completely different things. You've got the spectacular natural geysers, right? Those rare wonders that shoot boiling water up into the sky. And then you've got the household geyser, the water heater that's probably in your bathroom right now.
One is this amazing thing you might travel to see. The other is a potential hazard sitting right inside your home. So the real question we need to ask is, do you really know the risks that come with that machine in your bathroom?
All right, here's our game plan for this explainer. We're going to look at the problem, break down how these disasters actually happen, and then walk through an essential safety checklist. By the end, you'll see how the power to prevent this stuff is totally in your hands.
So, how on earth can a household appliance act like this powerful natural force? Well, it all comes down to the same basic ingredients. You've got heat, you've got water, and you've got a whole lot of pressure. And it's that pressure building up silently that we really need to get our heads around.
And that brings us right to the danger that could be lurking in your bathroom. I mean, think about what a geyser is. It's basically a sealed metal tank. And inside, you have this volatile mix of water, intense pressure, and high-voltage electricity. When any part of that combination goes wrong, well, it can literally become a ticking time bomb.
And listen, the stakes here are unbelievably high. We're not talking about small problems. Failures can lead to 4 really catastrophic outcomes: violent explosions that can level a room, deadly electrocutions, horrible burns from scalding water, and of course, massive water damage. These are life-changing events for sure.
Okay, so if we're going to prevent these accidents, we need to understand exactly how they happen in the first place. So let's do a little CSI and look at the anatomy of a disaster, breaking down the main reasons these things fail.
If you remember one thing from this entire explainer, make it this. The single most important safety part on your geyser is the pressure relief valve, or PRV. Its one and only job is to automatically vent pressure if it gets too high. If that one little valve fails, there is nothing, absolutely nothing, to stop that pressure from building and building until the entire tank explodes.
So why would this incredibly critical part fail? Well, the reasons are kind of shocking in how simple and preventable they are. Sometimes it's just missing, or the wrong one was put on. More often, it gets clogged up with gunk from hard water. But you know the number one reason? People just never, ever test them.
Now, just to paint a picture of what we're talking about, our source material describes what happens when that pressure has nowhere to go. It talks about explosions that spray scalding water and send metal fragments flying at dangerous velocities. This isn't just a leak, it's a bomb going off.
All right, the second major point of failure is the thermostat. This is basically the brain of the operation, telling the heater when to turn on and off. If it breaks, the heating element can just stay on and on and on, boiling the water inside that sealed tank and creating a runaway pressure cooker. And the scary part? It happens completely silently.
And here's a number you really want to pay attention to: 140 degrees Fahrenheit, or 60 degrees Celsius. If you set your geyser hotter than this, you're not just wasting energy, you are dramatically jacking up the internal pressure and the risk of getting a serious burn right from your tap.
So explosions are one thing, but now let's talk about the invisible danger, electrocution. Faulty wiring, especially in a wet place like a bathroom, well, it's a recipe for disaster. If the electricity isn't properly grounded, your body can become the easiest path for the current to travel.
So what are we talking about here? Things like bad grounding, old frayed wires, or missing safety switches like an ELCB or earth leakage circuit breaker. And this is not just theoretical. The source material brings up a tragic, real-world case where an Army sergeant was killed in the shower because of these exact kinds of faults. It's a very real risk. And finally, there's this slow, silent saboteur: sediment. Over time, minerals from the water build up at the bottom of the tank. This layer acts like an insulator, forcing the heating element to work way too hard and overheat. This not only builds more pressure, but it also corrodes the tank from the inside.
Okay, I know that's a lot of scary stuff, but here's the really good news. These accidents are almost always preventable. So let's pivot from the problems to the solutions. It's time for your essential safety checklist. Safety starts on day 1. First, and this is non-negotiable, hire a licensed pro for the installation. This is not a weekend DIY project. Second, make sure they install all the proper electrical safety gear. And third, set that thermostat to a safe temperature, somewhere around 120 to 130 Fahrenheit.
which is 48 to 54 Celsius.
All right, now if you do only one single thing after hearing all this, please make it this. The most effective action you can possibly take to prevent a catastrophic explosion is to test your pressure relief valve every single month.
And guess what? It's ridiculously easy. All you do is lift the little lever on the valve. You should see a gush of water come out of the pipe connected to it. If nothing comes out or it just kind of drips, that valve is clogged. You need to call a plumber right away. Seriously, don't wait.
So here's a super simple schedule to keep you on track. Test that valve every month. Once a month, just take a quick look for any leaks. And then once a year, have a pro come out to do a full service and flush the tank. If you've got hard water, maybe do that every 6 months.
And just be on the lookout for warning signs. Your geyser will often tell you when something's wrong. If you see leaks, even tiny ones, if your hot water looks rusty, if you hear popping or cracking sounds, or if you ever smell something burning or the switch feels warm, those are all red flags.
So, let's bring this all home. The main message, the big takeaway here, is that you have the power to stop these accidents from happening. These aren't just random acts of bad luck. They are almost always the result of simple, neglected maintenance.
Look, your geyser is juggling some pretty powerful forces: heat, pressure, electricity, all to give you the simple comfort of a hot shower. All it needs in return is a little bit of respect and vigilance. When you understand how it works and do these simple checks, you turn that potential risk into a safe, reliable convenience.
So, we'll just leave you with this final thought. You now know the risks, and more importantly, you know the simple, effective things you can do to prevent them. So the only question left to ask is a personal one. When was the last time you checked your pressure relief valve?
Like, share, and subscribe to Connect and Build. I have already done. Did you guys subscribe?